Welcome back, I'm Sean, and we have seen many great phones at budget-friendly prices from POCO, and it seemed that the formula is working out great for them. So today we're checking out a pretty great phone for them with a couple of flaws in the mix. So let's check it out.
Don't say we can't, oh, just don't say another word. These thoughts you've imagined aren't real, aren't adding up. You fetched your ideas from nowhere, all from another world. Your logic's impaired, your full picture is cropped. Cause we both know that one day they're just gonna try again. Without doubt, might say if all's gonna mend.
So the POCO M6 Pro today was sent over to me in my POCO for review, and this is not a sponsored post, and my review will be based on my honest and unbiased opinion. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing and ring the notification bell so you won't miss any future tech reviews. So there will be two models of the POCO M6 Pro, and it starts at a pretty respectable 8GB RAM model with 256GB storage, as well as a 12GB RAM model with 512GB of storage. And although we know phones should not be solely checked out by its paper specs, so let's see what these Powerhouse phones can do and cannot do. And if you're interested in them, do check out my links below. So starting off with the design here, the M6 Pro now comes with a very polished, more matured looking design as compared to some of its more budget-friendly siblings with a big POCO logo slapped on the back. And this time we're getting something more subtle, cleaner design and a small POCO branding at the top. So the first good news is that POCO has now brought back the silicone case in the box, so you don't need to run out and get one, and you can protect your phone from day one itself. And the phone does come in 3 different colors you can choose from, which is the blue model that I have. POCO also offers this in black as well as purple. So the back of the phone now is a very beautiful glass-like plastic to give it more rigidity, and you're not getting the basic plastic back here, and here what you're going to get is a very glossy piano finish. And when you look at the back of the phone, the main distraction point here are those huge lenses that protrude out from the phone, which makes the lens on the iPhone look kind of tiny, but we all know that size doesn't matter. And you probably want to use this phone with a case, because without the case, the phone kind of wobbles a lot because of the protruding lens. So with the case itself, it will stabilize the phone on the table itself so it won't wobble. So with this phone, you're going to get a 3 camera setup. You're going to get a 64 megapixel main camera lens up here, and this time it comes with optical image stabilization or OIS, an 8 megapixel ultra wide camera, which is this one down here, as well as a 2 megapixel macro lens, which is the small one right over here. And also at the bottom here, you're going to get a pretty huge flash with this phone. On the right side of the phone, there's a power button and also a volume rocker, but this time you're not getting a fingerprint reader here, but instead POCO is giving you an under-screen fingerprint reader. You know how I feel about these technologies back then, but since using the phone for about 2 weeks now, I can say that it's quite fast and accurate. Unless your finger is oily or wet, then it doesn't register that well. So on top of the phone is a 3.5mm jack, which POCO still stays true to it and not removing it anytime soon. And this time around, you're also going to get a speaker unit at the top and bottom of the phone, making this a stereo phone. And this phone is also high-res audio certified, so you will be able to enjoy great audio from this phone itself. So on the left side is a SIM tray, which also holds an expandable microSD card that expands the storage to 1TB. And below the phone is also a Type-C port that supports up to 67 watts fast charging, which POCO also very graciously provided the 67 watts fast charging brick in the box itself. And you're going to get a second speaker here as well. And at the front itself, you're going to get a 16 megapixel front selfie camera, and this time it's a cutout camera instead of a traditional dot drop display. So the M6 Pro provides you with a pretty great display, coming in at 6.67 inches, which is similar to what you get with the POCO X5 5G that we've previously looked at. And this is a Full HD Plus AMOLED display with resolution of 2400 by 1080, which is plenty sharp for your day-to-day use. You're also going to get full DCI-P3 color gamut, so colors definitely look very vibrant and poppy on this phone. And POCO also uses Corning Gorilla Glass 5 with this phone, and in my opinion, I think for most people here, we will be putting on an additional layer of tempered glass protector just to be safe. And although Corning Gorilla Glass 5 is strong, it's just another layer of insurance, so when you drop your phone, you're still gonna protect it. So based on my standard test on an AMOLED display device, I think this phone doesn't last quite as long as some of the phones that I've tested so far with an AMOLED display. So with my standard YouTube test, playing it at max resolution and max max brightness, I started the test at about 10 AM with 100% battery life, and after 1 hour at 11 AM, it dropped only 5% to 95%, and at 12 PM, it dropped to about 88%. At the 7-hour mark continuously playing video at 5 PM, it dropped down to about 57%, and subsequently letting it run all the way to 9 PM at the 11-hour mark, it dropped to 16%. And the phone subsequently died at the 13.5-hour mark at 11:30 PM. So it's still a pretty good all-day battery life, but I wish it would have lasted a little bit longer with the AMOLED display. The good news is the M6 Pro comes with a very impressive 67-watt wired fast charging, so you get to charge your phone up extremely fast. So what's missing here with the M6 Pro is a Qualcomm Snapdragon processor, and unlike the X5 5G that we reviewed before, that model comes with a really good chipset. So now you're going back to the MediaTek Helio G99 Ultra, which is a 6nm chipset with a clock speed of 2.2 GHz. It's still a pretty good chipset, but it comes with several problems such as no 4K playback and only a maximum of 2K or 1440p playback for videos, no 4K video recording, and it also comes with Bluetooth 5.2 instead of Bluetooth 5.3. So similar to the X5 5G, this is again another phone that doesn't support 4K playback on YouTube, which is sad. You can see here it supports a maximum of 1440p in the YouTube app. Gaming on resource-intense game like PUBG works well and doesn't have a lot of issues, and you still be able to run it at HD graphics. And despite the 120Hz display, the game doesn't feel particularly fast since it doesn't render at a high enough frame rate to justify the fast display. So this phone is great since it comes with a 256GB storage as base with the 8GB RAM model, and a 512GB storage when you get the 12GB RAMs model, and both of this model you can still expand the storage to 1TB, which is impressive. So this phone now comes with a water resistant rating of IP54, and this provides you with decent splash proof performance, but definitely nothing you want to bring in the rain or shower or dunking in the pool. So you're going to get a large 64MP camera with optical stabilization with this phone, and it's quite impressive on paper. So let's take a look at how it performs. The large sensor generates a pretty high resolution photo, coming in at 9248 by 6944 pixels, but it only generates a 12MB file. Comparing it to the 48MP raw photo of the 14 Pro Max, you're gonna get a whopping 70MB file. So you're definitely gonna get a lot less detail on the POCO despite its high megapixel count. But as you can see from the landscape photo of a very far away building, the 12MP shot of the POCO take a lot less detail, but if you pit it up against the 64MP mode, you're definitely getting a whole lot more detail. And to my surprise, when I zoom into the shot from the iPhone's 48MP shot, you actually see the POCO coming out ahead with a more polished shot, both for the foreground as well as the background. So the larger megapixel count does help to improve and give it more polished detail despite its smaller sensor size. So you're also going to get a very nice ultra wide lens with this phone, and it comes in at 0.6x versus the 0.5x on the iPhone. So you're still getting slightly tighter shot, but not by much. So plus this is an 8MP ultra wide lens, so you're definitely getting better details here. You're not going to get a telephoto lens with this camera, but there is still a 2x digital zoom which crops into the image. Still usable, but it's nowhere comparable to a native 2x or 3x lens that other phone provides. So the macro mode here is fine, and since you're getting a 2MP macro lens with this phone, it's not the best resolution macro shots out there, but if you're desperate to take any photos or something really close up, at least you have the option. Finally, the portrait mode here have a slightly improved algorithm from my test, and at some tricky photos where old POCO phones may struggle, this one seems to do pretty good, so kudos to that. So video mode is where it suffers a little, and mostly no thanks to the chipset that POCO chose to use on this phone. Although the chipset allows for a 2K video recording, the phone only clocks in a max resolution of 1080p at 60 frames per second. Pretty disappointing if you're going to rely on your phone to shoot videos, but the good news is that you're also getting the same 60 frames per second capabilities with the front selfie camera. Lastly, the front selfie camera is decent, nothing too special, and although you get the 16MP lens here, it's still nothing too amazing in my opinion. So sound quality on this phone is good, and because it comes with that dual speaker stereo system, it feels a lot more immersive when using it in landscape mode for your videos. Music does sound decent for a tiny speaker like that, but you do have the option to plug in your high-res headphones to truly enjoy the audio performance. So POCO has always been one of the leaders in the budget smartphone arena, and I think this formula works with this Powerhouse performance, up to 12GB RAM and 512 storage, AMOLED display, 120Hz screen. There isn't really much more you can ask in a phone in this price range. So if you're in the market to look for a budget Android phone, then this is definitely one to consider. So that is it for this review. If you find this video helpful, smash the thumbs up button, share this video everywhere, and if you haven't yet subscribed, do consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video.